This video, we got the James Harden system is working. You feel what I'm saying? Now, let's see what this man has to say. I don't know if he's another Jimmy High Roller, if he provides the facts and statistics, or is he just biased? We're going to see once we click this video. Let's get into it.
Since the All-Star break, James Harden is averaging an efficient 25 points and 8.5 assists as he started to build a really 25 points and 8.5 assists as he started to build a really compelling case for an All-NBA team. And with that elevated play, the Clippers have been peaking at the perfect time. They've won 12 of their last 15 games with the 5th best offense during that stretch, which not only highlights the level that Kawhi's getting back to right before the playoffs, it showcases just how well the Harden ball system is working. LA's offense is basically just a less extreme version of what Harden was doing during his prime in Houston. A large chunk of their possessions start with him jogging the ball up the court, then immediately attacking whoever picks up the ball in isolation.
He has been doing that shit recently. I ain't gonna lie. He's been playing aggressive recently.
Then immediately attacking whoever picks up the ball in isolation.
He's been playing really aggressive recently.
It really doesn't matter who stands in his way. From cross matches to lockdown defenders, his process remains the exact same. Sizing up, reading their every move, and reacting with the appropriate counter. Just like during those MVP caliber years, that of course means he's getting to lots, and I mean lots of step back threes. On the season, he's second in the NBA at 7 off-the-dribble three-point attempts per game, and he's hit about 33% of them, which might sound relatively low for someone with such volume, but it's important to keep in mind the level of difficulty on most of these looks. He's comfortable from extended range, often stepping back multiple feet behind the line before rising up, and he's one of the best in the game when it comes to shooting over smothering contests, so he often leaves defenders completely helpless. As a result, his perimeter game is all about creating just that little bit of separation. And his go-to move.
Yo, his step back is just straight up automatic, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm scared of James Harden's step back.
All about creating just that little bit of separation.
Whoever the Clippers going against in the playoffs, bro.
His legs left before immediately stepping back to his right.
I don't know what to tell you.
So what he'll often do is just spam that between the legs dribble over and over again while he patiently waits for the perfect moment to step back and get that space. To make things more difficult, he'll often add some aggressive jab steps to threaten the drive while sizing up, which is something that defenders have to react to, because as soon as they press up on the ball a bit too aggressively, he's just going to drive for real and probably leave them in the dust. Prime Harden had the best first step in the league. So what he's regressed into is a slightly less explosive version of himself, which is still a 6'5" ball handler with an elite first step. That means when he's sizing up defenders like this, not only do they have to worry about not giving him space to shoot, they have to anticipate any potential driving lanes or he's walking to the paint. With that said, I do think the biggest difference between Harden now and the Harden of then is that he doesn't push the defense nearly as much.
Yo, do y'all see this?
Keep walking to the paint. With that said, I do think the biggest difference between Harden now and the Harden of then is that he doesn't pressure the defense nearly as much as an interior scorer. It's noticeable how much he's regressed as a vertical athlete, and he doesn't have the same sort of agility when it comes to creating angles from the floor, so he often finds himself either failing to get a good shot off, getting blocked, or just not getting to the rim altogether. On the season, he's attempting less than 3 shots at the rim every 75 possessions, which is the second lowest mark of his career behind just last year. On those limited shots, he's made just 59% of them, good for the 14th percentile among all players. So like I said, we're talking about a guy who really doesn't have that interior presence. However, that doesn't mean he isn't still a dangerous scorer out of drives. He might not be as agile as he once was, but he still consistently gets around his defender, and he still has a huge frame, so as soon as he gets just half a step, he's basically guaranteed to get downhill. While he might not be putting anyone on a poster, the floater from as far out as 10 feet remains a really reliable shot for him. He's made about 45% of his floaters, which might not rank among the best of the best, but is more than enough to keep the defense honest. It's less about the accuracy of the floater though, and more about what that opens up. During these isolations, their big is playing from the dunker, and if help even thinks about stepping up to the floater, that's an automatic lob. Then the threat of the pass opens up easier scoring. Like on this play, the big is so worried about the lob that he actually backs up, leaving Harden with an easy bucket.
Floater.
This means that if defenses want to bring help, it's gonna have to come from the perimeter. And if there's one thing that we all know Harden excels at, it's kicking the ball out to open shooters. Or it's creating contact and drawing fouls, which is something that he remains nothing short of world class at. Despite not getting to the rim nearly as much, he's still averaging almost 8 free throw attempts per 75, good for 10th in the NBA, and those foul shots actually carry his scoring efficiency in a major way. More on that later. For now, I just wanted to make it clear that he's still a dangerous driver. So his isolation game is all about balancing the threat of that driving with the threat of that outside shooting. In addition to the explosive first step, he's got 99th percentile deceleration, which unlocks a world of opportunity for him. Not only can he threaten drives to open up the three, he can actually start drives.
I just don't see him doing this in the playoffs.
And step back out, creating a world of separation. This makes him nearly impossible to stay in front of. Rarely ever does he get cut off, but in the event he does, he'll either use that large frame of his to power through anyway.
Like, all this is nice, bro, but is Harden gonna do this in the playoffs? Is he gonna play this aggressive in the playoffs? Who knows, bro? Like, honestly, who knows, bro? Because he never does. Bro, he honestly doesn't really do this in the playoffs, bro. It's rare. It's rare that he does. In the event he does,
he'll either use that large frame of his to power through anyways, or he'll throw a shoulder bump into his defender's chest while slamming the brakes, as the mid-range is something he started to look for a lot more. It's crazy to think that a 35-year-old is so lethal in isolation that he still demands double teams. And it's even crazier to think that even with a double coming his way, more times than not, he won't have much trouble getting where he wants to go. His reaction to doubles is always sharp and it's always instant. If he's not getting rid of the ball, he's immediately attacking open space in the opposite direction of that second defender. And if instead of a double, the opposing defense opts for more of a zone-like coverage with help sitting in his lanes early, good luck making sure he doesn't find the open man. The point I'm trying to make is that in year 16, you could make a strong argument that James Harden's been the most prominent isolation creator in the league.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Nah, I honestly don't think it's a debate. I don't think it's a debate. He is.
That James Harden's been the most prominent isolation creator in the league.
I honestly think he is. I mean, who else could you debate about that with? Who could you debate? I'd say you could probably debate maybe AI or like Kyrie, but bro, James Harden, his isolation game is better than both of theirs. Like, I don't think you could really debate that with anyone. I don't think so. I really don't.
Strong argument that James Harden's been the most prominent.
You got Luka, bro, but
in the league.
Nah.
He's averaging over 12 isolation possessions per game, while no other player is even over 10. And on those plays, the Clippers have generated an incredibly efficient 1.05 points per play, which lands him in the 80th percentile among all players. What's even crazier though is that isolations aren't even his most used play type. That would be the pick and roll, where he remains a maestro, but in a slightly different way than before. Don't get me wrong, he's still got all of the classic reads in his bag for countering each coverage. Most defenses play these actions in a drop, so just like in isolation, it's all about balancing the shooting and the driving. If he turns the corner off a screen and his man stays attached to the ball, he'll look to create separation, often by going to one of those step back threes. But if he turns the corner and his man gets taken out by the screen, that's when he'll attack the big and put them in that impossible 2-on-1 situation. If they don't step up to the ball, he's got a floater, and if they don't drop back, he's lobbing it up top. And sometimes it really is that simple, but not every time. A staple of Prime Harden's game was his ability to attack drop bigs and just obliterate them with his agility and open space.
Jesus.
That aspect of his game doesn't really exist anymore, and with the way he's regressed as a finisher, a solid drop defense is usually able to keep him from scoring in the paint without needing to involve a third defender. As a result, he's had to shift his approach a bit. Instead of turning the corner with speed, he's a lot more methodical with how he operates, and that's where the added mid-range game comes in. I mentioned earlier how good he is at using his frame to hold defenders on his hip. In the pick and roll, he'll often get a defender stuck in jail and operate in between. And again, this puts the big smart, in a tough spot where he's patiently looking for soft spots in the mid-range. Then if they step up, he's lobbing it up to the big. Another thing he'll often do is snake the screen, meaning that instead of going at the big, he'll drive across the paint laterally as he looks for a spot to rise up. It sort of goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. If the big follows him for even a fraction of a second, he's finding his roll man for easy points. So he does still apply pressure against drop coverage, even if it looks a little bit different. And for that reason, some defenses choose to put 2 on the ball, either in a trap or a hedge, which then opens up his genius as a playmaker. He might just be the best in the league at making that tight pocket pass to the short roll, and Zubac feasts on those opportunities.
All right, now you're
But if the pocket pass isn't there because of the big's positioning or a wing defender tagging early, he'll use his eyes to create a window over the top. Then if Zoo can't be accessed at all because the low man is dropping early to tag, that's when he'll skip it cross court to a shooter in the corner for a high quality 3. The only way to avoid all of these advantages is to just simply switch the screen. Only that just takes us back to square one with Harden's isolation game now going to work against an even more favorable matchup. The Clippers haven't been quite as efficient out of Harden's pick and rolls as they have his ISOs, but that doesn't mean it hasn't still led to great offense. On those plays, they're generating about 1.01 points per possession, good for the 66th percentile among all players. So Harden's among the top of the league in volume as a creator, both in isolation and out of the pick and roll, while generating efficient results in both play types. There's just 2 big gripes I have with his on-ball game that I think will show up a bit more in the playoffs. One is the high turnovers. I don't think he commits bad turnovers, and they usually are a result of trying risky passes, which is a bit of a double-edged sword, but he's still giving up the ball a lot, and certain playoff defenses can take advantage of that. The second one I hinted at earlier, and that's how much he relies on the free throw line to carry his efficiency as a scorer. I talked about how he's been using the mid-range a bit more, but on the season, he's still made less than 40% of those shots. So it's more of an option than a legitimate go-to. With how little he gets to the rim, that means the best shot he can consistently access inside the arc is that 45% floater. As a result, he's made just 46% of his 2-pointers. For reference, the league average is 54.5%, so he's nearly 10% below that mark. The most efficient shot he can consistently access overall is that 33% pull-up 3, and that's the shot that creates so much volatility.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm not worried about James Harden.
2023 series against
James Harden, he's still, you feel what I'm saying? He's still got it a little bit. You know, he's not as good as he used to be, but I don't think he's a problem though. Like, I don't think he's somebody to look out for in the playoffs. Like, the Clippers are a team they can be a dangerous team. They can be an underrated team in the playoffs, bro, but not someone I'm worried about. You know, they're not one of the top teams in the West. There's too many teams in the West that has to be worried about. And I feel like the Clippers, bro, y'all aren't somebody I'm worried about right now, bro. Like, I'm gonna be honest, bro. James Harden
creates so much volatility.
You play smart basketball in the regular season, bro, but we seen what you do in the playoffs, man.
Were extremely high. He shot above 30% from 3 in 2 games during that series, and in those 2 games, he scored 45 and 42 points. But in the other 5 games, he never went over 20, and in the elimination game 7, had a measly 9 points. I don't think it'll be that extreme this time around, but the point is that because he doesn't generate high efficiency 2s, he needs the 3 ball to be falling, and he needs to be getting to the free throw line in order for the team to really benefit from his scoring. The playmaking will always be there, so he can still be the offensive engine, but I don't think they can make it through multiple rounds with him leading the team in shot attempts. His playmaking is elite. That's why it's imperative that Powell and Kawhi are at full strength, and I actually think it's become slightly underrated how well Harden plays off of both of those guys. While the pull-up shooting can be a bit streaky, his catch-and-shoot game is consistently very efficient, hitting over 40% of those opportunities. Yeah, I noticed that too, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, the last time I reacted to the Clippers, I literally pointed it out that this man Harden does not miss off that catch and shoot, bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, he really does. He knows how to utilize that catch and shoot 3. He really does, bro. He does. I will give that to him. Efficient, hitting over 40% of those opportunities.
He developed that catch and shoot 3.
Then he pairs that shooting threat with quick decision making off the catch, which could mean driving at a closeout to put more pressure on the paint, or it could mean connecting the offense as an extra passer, where there are very few better. Harden's an all-time great passer, which means he's able to elevate the off-ball games of everyone around him. I don't just mean Powell and Kawhi as spot-up shooters or attackers off of screens. I mean a guy like Zoo. Zoo's elite at sealing off inside position and is one of the best low-post scorers in the NBA, which Harden maximizes through his elite entry passing. But even guys like Derrick Jones Jr., who are often cutting out of action, his anticipation and placement on some of these passes is just absurd. So anticipation and placement on some of these passes is just absurd. So when it comes to running an offense, there aren't many who can do this as well as a 35-year-old James Harden. From the dominant isolation play to the pick and roll mastery, from the off-ball play to the all-time level passing. He may not be the efficient 36-point-per-game scorer that he once was, but he remains an elite player in this league and a one-man offensive system. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out the
good video though, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. You provided some facts, bro, and some statistics. But honestly, you're right, bro. Like, he's right. But I just feel like when it comes to the playoffs, bro, James Harden, he's not going to be as dangerous as he is in the regular season. Now, don't get me wrong. He does know how to keep his team in check so they can get to the point where they're in the playoffs, so they can make the playoffs. But when it comes to the playoffs, I feel like he just can't be that leading guy on that team to just lead his team in the playoffs, though. I don't know what it is, bro, but James Harden just doesn't look like James Harden in the playoffs. And I don't know what it is, bro, but maybe he can prove me wrong this season, prove everybody else wrong, because I know y'all thinking the same thing. But nah, before I leave out of here, though, bro, I got a question. Who y'all boys got, James Harden or D Wade all time? Talking prime James Harden or prime D Wade? Who y'all got all time? Don't ask me. I'm asking y'all. Who y'all got all time? James Harden or D Wade? Let me know. But I'm going to see y'all boys next video, and I'm out, man. Peace.